Welcome to my channel. I'm going to be showing you how to cut an underbust corset, the only type of corset that can snatch your waist while covering your bust. It is a modest kind of corset. So this is my basic bodice. As you can see, I've jotted out the bust point, underbust and waist. This is the second basic bodice pattern because we're going to drafting the underbust corset in two ways. So this measurement is for someone with a bigger bust, and this other measurement on my left is for someone with a smaller bust. So we're going to start with this one. I'm going to move ahead and add the nipple to nipple measurement, which is 7. So I'm going to mark 3.5 because 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. I'm going to have marked that on the waist. I'm going to mark it on the underbust, and I'm going to mark it on the bust point. So you can see I'm going to join this point with a straight line. So before I do that, I need to extend the line above the bust point. So you can measure this from your shoulder, or you can measure this from your bust point. You can add the difference between your bust point and under bust. You can add 2, 3 or 4 inches to it, but I'm going to be adding only 1 inch to the distance between my bust point and my under bust. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So I'm going to be marking 4. As you can see, I'm going to mark 4 above the bust point line. I just want to ensure that it is the nipple to nipple measurement there. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and join this point with a straight line. Remember, this is a modest kind of corset, so you can even take it as high as you want it to be. So now at the center front, we need to create a curve from the center front, touching that line, touching the nipple to nipple line, and then joining it to the armhole. So at the center front, I'm going to go up above the bust point by 2.5 inches. After marking this point, we're going to go to the armhole and also mark 2.5 inches there, so that we can create a curve from the center front, the nipple to nipple line, and the mark that we marked, and the point we marked at the armhole. So as you can see, I'm trying to create a curve. I'm looking for a way that will make it look beautiful. This is called the sweetheart neckline. You can always opt for another type of neckline when you are doing yours. So this is just what I want to use for this illustration. So as you can see, I've joined the points together. You can see how beautiful this looks. So now we're going to go ahead and work on the darts. So I want to take in 1.5 inch for the dart. That means 1.5 inch divided by 2 is 0.75. So I'm going to be marking 0.75 on either side of the line, right on the underbust, and I'm going to do same on the waist. If your client has a bigger bust, you can go in by 1 inch or 1.25 inch just to create enough space for the bust. So as you can see, I've joined this point to the straight line now. I'm going to move on to the top part of the line. So I'm going to be taking in 0.5 inch on either sides of the line, as you can see. Then I've marked that out. Then now I'm going to join this point to the bust point. So I'm going to mark 0.5 inch above and below the bust point, and I'm going to use the curved side of this row to join these points together. As you can see, I'm joining that from that point to the bust point, and from that bust point I'm going to create a curve all the way to the underbust. As you can see, the underbust is the red line. I used a different marker just so that you can know the difference. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to join the points together just like I did on the center front. If you are going to be using this as a tubeless top, I advise that on this upper part you take in 1 inch. 1 inch on the center front and 1 inch on the side, because you have to tighten it up so that it will be fitted and it will not be open when you wear your clothes. I took in 0.5 inch on either sides because I will be adding a yoke if I was to make on the bust corset, because that is the essence, because we want it to be modest and cover the bust properly. So now we are going to replace all the darts we've taken. So we took in 1 inch, as you can see. half an inch on either side. We took in 1 inch, so we're going to replace 1 inch on this side, as you can see. So I'm going to create a slight curve, and then I'm going to join it to the armhole. So I'm going to move ahead to the waistline. We took in 1.5 inch, that is 0.75 on either side of the line. So we're going to mark 1.5 inch, and we are going to join this point with a straight line. So as you can see, this is all, but we are going to be taking in a dart at that point there by 1/2 inch. So the essence of taking this dart is just to prevent excess when you are joining your yoke. If you're going to be adding yoke, it's important you take this dart just 1/2 inch above the armhole line, as you can see there. So after doing this, we're going to go ahead and cut this out, and we are going to cut it right on the underbust as well. So just watch as I'm cutting this out now. When I'm done cutting this part out, especially this underbust side, I'm going to join them with sellotape and show you how it looks. So as you can see, I've joined this underbust part with sellotape, but I've left the cups. So this is the underbust part, these are the cups. I'm going to go ahead and join it with sellotape so that you can see how it looks as well. So this is it, I've joined this with sellotape. So this is how it will look when you sew yours. So you can see how this looks good already. So you can see the neckline of the yoke fits perfectly to this part here because we replaced the dart we took in. So if you are going to be adding a yoke, please do not forget to replace that dart. So now I'm going to be taking in this to prevent excess when you are joining the yoke. This is 1/2 inch above it. So we took in 1/2 inch, as you can see. This part here is where you are going to add your boning to. This is what makes it an underbust corset, because this is where snatches the waist properly. So don't forget to add your boning lines before joining it. So now we're going to move on to the second type of underbust corset, and these are the measurements. I already drafted out the basic bodies. Notice that the underbust to the waist in this one is shorter. Yes, that is the reason why I want to show you how you can do or draft your own underbust corset for a client with a bigger bust. So now we're going to go ahead and mark the nipple to nipple point, which is 8 divided by 2 is 4. We have marked that on the waist, on the underbust, and we're going to mark down the bust point. So now we're going to go above the bust point by 1/2 inch. That is very important, and we're going to join these points together with a straight line. So now we're going to move ahead to the armhole, right from the shoulder slant. So we're going to go down by 2 inches, and under that 2 inches we're going to go down by 1.5 inch for the dart. So we're going to be joining this point all the way to this 1/2 inch that we took earlier on above the bust point. So I'm going to join those points now together. If you're a subscriber and you're watching this, wow, thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate. And if you are watching this video and you're yet to subscribe, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Turn on post notifications so that when I post new videos, you'll be notified. If you want to see how to sew this underbust corset from scratch, from beginning to the end, please drop a comment in the comment section and tell me what you want to see. So after joining those points together now, we are going to extend this line by 1.5 inch because it was 1.5 inch we took in for the darts. So as you can see, I've extended the line by 1.5 inch, and I'm going to create a curve joining that point to back to the armhole, as you can see. So in my previous video, I showed you how to make a princess dart bustier. I showed you a particular style where you divide the dart you are going to take on either sides of the dart line. But in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to do another style of making a princess dart bustier, which is subtracting all the darts from only one side. So as you can see, I've marked 2 inches from the under bust and the waist, and I'm going to be creating a curve right from that 1/2 inch below the bust point. I'm going to be creating a curve to touch the 2 inches. As you can see, I'm going to create a curve now to join the 2 inches that were marked earlier on, and I'm going to join this to the waistline with a straight line. Remember that making a princess dart depends on your personal choice. You can divide it evenly, or you can put all the darts on one side, as you can see, as I did in this tutorial. If you want to see another way of drafting a princess dart, please go ahead and watch that video. I'll leave the link in the description box. So as you can see, I'm replacing the dart I took on the waist. I'm replacing it back, which is 2 inches. It's very essential. So another thing again that you can do at this point is to add a bust dart. I also did this in the previous video, but I'm not going to be doing that here. If you want to see how to add a bust dart, please go ahead and watch the previous video. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out now. As you can see, take your time while cutting so that you wouldn't cut the wrong part. So I'm also going to cut through the under bust line. So I went ahead and joined this with sellotape. As you can see, I've joined this with sellotape. Now we are going to create a basque waistline with this. So it is essential and very important to create a basque waistline when the difference between the under bust and the waist is less than 4 inches. You have to create a basque waistline. This is what gives that snatched waist that you see. So if the difference between your client's under bust and waist is less than 4 inches, then please, it is important you create a basque waistline for your client. So you have to actually convince them and let them know why it's important you create a basque waistline, so that it will snatch in the waist for them. This is the only type of corset that completely covers your bust. So if you don't want your bust to be exposed, consider this underbust corset. You can use the first design, or you can use this second type. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out now, as you can see. And we've created a basque waistline. So this is how it looks when you join these parts together. This will come back and fit in here perfectly. And then you can add your boning on this part to the basque waistline. You can add your boning there so that it will snatch your client's waist. Thanks for watching my video. Like, share and subscribe. See you in my next video.